Hello and welcome to another edition of Video Games to the Max. I am your host, Sean Gummer, here with me as usual, Mr. Marc Morrison.
Howdy.
And all right, well, we said we were going to talk about it here, and we are. The Xbox report cards, so we can finish out the last of the report cards for the console makers and, go ahead and do what we're going to do like next week and finish out the year talking about our best games of 2025. But we'll get to that at the end of the show as far as how that's going to work and all that stuff. But for this show, we are going to talk about report cards. We're also going to talk about generative AI, and it's kind of appropriate that we talk about Xbox since, Microsoft is on that kick for AI. We also have to talk about some really sad news as today in a horrible car crash, Vince Zampella,
What happened yesterday?
Well, yeah, was it yesterday? Okay, they were reporting it today, so
right.
We'll talk about that as well. Unfortunately, I've been playing Unbeatable. Marc's been playing more Ghost of Yotei, so we'll get into all that and more right after this. Well, once this allows me to actually do that here. Love when tech doesn't want to work. I feel like I've been having tech problems all night, which is why we're starting out late today.
Right.
So, okay, here we go. And let's go ahead and get going right now.
You are listening to Video Games to the Max.
All right. Let's go ahead. And I'm going to skip the housekeeping for now. I feel like probably should just go ahead. I hate starting off with bad news, but considering we're talking about like one of the giant of the industry, Vince Zampella, founder of Infinity Ward, head of the Battlefield franchise, head of basically creative Respawn, very influential in the Star Wars Jedi series, Titanfall, passes away as of on Sunday at 12:45 due to a vehicle accident reported by California Highway Patrol. NBC Los Angeles was the one, reporting it. Discussing the news today.
Right.
Just kind of like total absolute shock. Talking about 55 years old, is still super young. He leaves behind 3 children. Just absolutely terrible. They did put out EA did put out a statement saying it's an unimaginable loss. Hearts are with Vince's family, his loved ones, and all those touched by his work. Vince's influence on the video game industry was profound and far-reaching. A friend, colleague, leader, and visionary creator, and his work helped shape modern interactive entertainment and inspired millions of players and developers around the world. His legacy will continue to shape how games are made and how players connect with generations to come. You kind of just like sent it to me, and I was sitting there kind of like, I don't know if I'm believing what I'm reading, but what do you think of?
I mean, I believed it kind of because I think like enough people that I know or that I follow like posted it. There's a really, I would say, sketchy looking video on TMZ about it, like showing the crash, but it's like with how AI is nowadays, you can't believe it at all. Like,
yeah.
So, and I watched it and I was like, I still don't believe this. So,
right, no.
But yeah, like he wasn't like the most like public facing person in the world or like, face of the company or face of the franchise, even though he kind of was like the head of it. Like it wasn't like a Miyamoto or a Kojima per se, but he was way up there and he was kind of, not like directly linked, but he was kind of groomed as going to be like the next EA CEO or like, he was like on that trajectory type of thing. So yeah, it's surprising.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like you're talking about. He was definitely going to continue to be at EA.
Right.
He had he's one of the major reasons why Battlefield 6, is
Did well.
is kind of leading a revolution there for them as far as like getting back to being a great series. You know, also, of course, Call of Duty influential there. Work with Infinity Ward. Created Call of Duty. He left Infinity Ward in 2010, founded Respawn,
Right.
and of course, Titanfall, Star Wars Jedi, Apex Legends. I mean, Titanfall probably could have been more, but EA kind of nipped it in the bud there. Yeah, just absolutely terrible and sad that Vince Zampella is gone.
Yeah.
His impact will probably be felt for so many more as years go on, and it's just unimaginable loss to his family. Condolences to all his family, to all his friends in the industry and everything. Just absolutely.
Yeah, like almost like no one said a bad word about him, even though people could have probably, but didn't, or like he wasn't like a bad guy or anything, or didn't seem to screw people over. So good on him.
Yeah, it's absolutely like, I mean, considering how many people, there's always something like it feels like we hear more about the like bad apples, I guess.
Right.
But it feels like he is one of those, like, when you talk about major figureheads that all they did was great things in the industry and were great to the people they work with and everything. He is one of those, and that's stands out to his character, and again why he's so beloved and how this just hit the way it did.
Right.
Yesterday, but again, like, it happened yesterday, but talk about like nobody was talking about it yesterday. It felt like today is when everybody was really saying anything. So yeah, I mean, I don't know what else, if there was anything else you wanted to say about it, or
no. Yeah, I mean, like, as part of the business, I'm sure EA will have to scramble a little now, but it's also Christmas, so they'll have to worry about that like next year, basically. I mean, the fact that it also happened like right before Christmas is
it's absolutely
not good.
talk about like just for the family. You're thinking about celebrating Christmas, another new year, like all the whatever plans they had ahead for Respawn.
Right.
All that just seems kind of minuscule, considering the life that's been lost. But unfortunately, we do have to move on. I hate starting with bad news, but I always kind of feel bad also just like leaving it to the end and then feeling like you don't
Well, this is
give
also
it.
it's like breaking news essentially.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, if we would have, it would have been even more breaking if we started a bit like an hour or so late. So
yeah.
Yeah, we will get into our two big topics a little bit later on, but I guess let's go ahead and talk about some games we've been playing. You've been playing more Ghost of Yotei. How's that working for you?
It's still good. I beat one of the main bad guys, I guess. That game,
the big six.
The big five, because you beat one of them like right at the start of the game. I beat like the Oni, I guess. That game is weird. Like, it has a lot of like really dumb motion control bullshit and like touchpad nonsense that thankfully you can turn a lot of it off or just kind of skip it. But it's like, why is this like, this isn't like fun, or this isn't like, you don't get like a boost for doing this crap.
Right.
Like, you can like cook your food, and like there's no way to like say, like, the only way to like really end it is like just to say I'm done cooking, but it's not like, oh, I burned the food, so the bonus I get is lower. It's just like, you just burn the food because you can't really end it without just ending the whole mini game. Like, it's just like such a weird thing. But yeah, I got the good armor and just kind of plowing through it now.
Yeah. How far do you think you are in the?
Maybe halfway. I got to do one other like bad guy, the fox, I think, and then I'll move up the ladder to like the two sons and then the main bad guy. But I mean, I have most things unlocked except for the gun, so I just got to get that unlocked. And I also don't like stealth in the game at all.
Yeah.
In principle, it's fine, but like, I really wish you could mark enemies, or I saw this guy, like, you have a spyglass or a telescope basically, and it's like, why can't I just mark people? Like, that'd be so much easier. Like, you don't have to do like the Assassin's Creed like vision, assassin vision or anything. Like, that's to that game. But like, marking people is pretty universal, especially in like a stealth game. So
Right.
why can't I do it here? But
Yeah.
other than that, it's like it.
Yeah, it's I mean, I'm glad you're enjoying it. Outside of some of the issues you're having there.
Yep.
Anything else? You checking out that Analog 3D yet, or?
Yeah, I played some game. I got it hooked up a few nights ago. Well, like 2 days after I got it, basically. Yeah, I played like most of Star Fox 64. That holds up pretty well,
Yeah.
especially since it's the only good Star Fox game ever.
Right.
I had someone like trying to argue on, I think on like Blue Sky, like the original Star Fox was like a revolutionary game when it came out, and I was like, yeah, kind of. Like, it looked cool, but like, it played bad. Like, it ran terribly. Like, at like 15 frames a second or something. It's like, I don't care how good a game looks like graphically, or like, it's like, oh, this looks amazing. Yeah, but it runs like, you feel like you're like playing it like molasses. It's like,
Right.
so that's not fun to me. uh,
Uh,
so I played that. I played a little Mario 64, just like a level or two, or got like ran around for like a minute. Played a little Mario Kart. I have the Japanese version of Mario Kart 64, not the English one. So it's real weird because it has some like different voices in it. Like, instead of like Mario saying Mario Kart 64, it's like this like children's choir, or like these like young
yeah.
kids saying it. And like, Toad is named something else. Like, he has like his Japanese name, like Piro or Mr. Piro or something weird like that. And he has this like really high pitched voice that's like way higher pitched than even like Toad regular is.
Right.
But yeah, that holds up. The only game I tried to play this because I also have it. I don't know, like, I bought it for like $1 or something at some game store. Uh, and it's a Japanese launch game. Let me see if I can find the name. Um, it's called Psycho Habu Shoji. It's a shoji game.
Yeah.
And it has this like awesome picture of the guy, because it's like the John Madden of shoji. That's Psycho Habu, apparently. So it's like a picture of this
Yeah.
guy on the game cover. And it ran, but like, I got to like a main menu and I pressed like the top option, which I assume would have been like play or play now or something. And a long page of Japanese text popped up, and that's as far as I got. I couldn't figure out how to get past that. Like, I pressed every button and nothing happened. Like, I should have maybe Googled, like, busted up my phone for a Google Translate to see like, hey, what does this actually say? But like, nothing happened. So I was like, all right, I guess I can't play Soji, even though I don't even know how to do that in the first place.
Gotta
uh,
love that.
and it's also funny because Yen's got his like 3D, or Fire is the 3D as well, and I just helped him set it up a few nights ago. He had a little more problems with his than mine, because like didn't boot correctly, and then he had to like delete the firmware on his SD card and then like reinstall it, and then it was fine. But he was like nonstop bitching about it for like the first night. He was like, oh, because he was trying to play it in his office, and his
Right.
office doesn't have a TV; it just has a good like PC monitor in it, or I think it's a Mac monitor.
Yeah.
And he was like, I can't. Why doesn't this thing have SP diff out. I was like, because none of their consoles have had that. Because no
Right.
one cares. And he was like,
Yeah,
yeah, but
only him.
I want to use it for my deck. And I was like, again, that's only you. Like, you're the only person who gives a shit about this nonsense.
Right,
And
yeah.
so eventually he begrudgingly had to go downstairs to his like living room and hook it up to his TV, like unplugging the
Oh,
switch
the
to.
horror.
Yeah, I was like, oh my god, what a problem.
Talk of when you talk about the nomenclature of first world problems, that is the
Yeah,
definition of that.
and then he had to order a N64 extension cable for like the controller because it didn't like reach far enough.
Yeah.
And this is like somewhat legitimate. He did have to order like a new gamepad or like some like
Oh,
third party one because like I guess he had an N64 control pad, but it was like drifting.
okay.
Which is valid. Like that's like the one thing that like okay, yeah, let's go for that. But like him going like, oh god, gotta go downstairs and hook it up to my TV, and I'm like, oh my god, should I break out the
Right.
tiny violin now or something? Like, come on. Uh, but yeah, he's playing Star Wars: Shadows of the Empire. I'm like, yep,
Okay.
that's up your alley for sure.
It's definitely on that.
uh, yeah, the analog is cool. Or, I'll keep plugging away at it.
Yeah, at least you were able to do that.
Yeah.
But all right. Anything else?
Also playing a little more Diablo 4. They released a new season, and I guess I bought it, and I've been playing that off and on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yep.
All right. Well, I did get to play finally. I mean, last week I had the game, but I didn't get to play much, so I didn't want to really talk about it. But I did get to get at least to chapter 2 in Unbeatable.
Yeah.
That's an indie game that came out like around December 9th or 10th.
Right.
It's kind of a different than I expected. They do have like an arcade mode where you just play the songs. You can play like a music game, right? And they have different difficulty modes. But the main crux of it is the story mode, right? Because it has the anime aesthetic, and a cool like almost sort of like fully cooly kind of look to it,
Right.
as well in the anime style. You can really tell that in like the beginning scene where they have the whole cutscene where Beat, which is the main character, Seeds is kind of like in the like a flowery area with her friend Quaver, and then you kind of get to meet Quaver, and they start talking. There's a lot of talking in this game. I didn't expect there to be so much talking. It almost feels like it's on visual novel
Right.
level. They do have voice acting, so it's not like it's all just reading a bunch of text. And they do like move, or you do have full control of Beat during the whole sequence. It's a lot of exploration as well. I thought it was really just okay. You kind of go. I thought it was more like narrative based. Okay, you kind of go, you tell your story, you go to your thing, and then it's it's a lot more of a music game, right? It's not. It's much more of a like almost like an adventure game that just happens to have sort of like Guitar Hero music type stuff, like combat in it. I've only done like about 3 of those so far.
Yeah.
One that feels like you're supposed to lose, like in the beginning of the chapter 2 that I'm in, and then one that you can win, but it kind of doesn't really. The story has to go where it's going, right, to get to that point.
There's a
Yeah,
few fights in Yotei that are kind of like that. Like one against like the main bad guy, and I was like, "Am I supposed to lose this? Because it's
yeah.
really hard." And apparently, I'm not. Like, I had to like win it. And so,
Well, what's funny is it tells you game over, then it like keeps going, and I'm just kind of like, okay, well, I guess it's just giving me the illusion that I
right,
lost, but not really.
yeah,
I mean, this has been in development for a while. They also have like a little side story, or I don't know if you call it a prequel, white label that's also available on PC. This is on PC and PlayStation and Switch. It's not on Xbox. Don't know if it will eventually come to Xbox or not. But yeah, like the draw is really because they're younger characters. They kind of have like it feels like sometimes I'm like sometimes watching my daughter on screen the way they talk. It makes me laugh sometimes. I find them interesting. It's just like I said, it's a lot. And the my major issue with it is it's not. Look, I just have to sometimes understand that not every game is made for you to play piecemeal the way that I have to play games. But it's one thing for them to do it like I complained about Black Ops 7, where it's like, look, we've never had a campaign like that that's always online. Most people that are going to play the campaign, they want to play the campaign at their own pace. They don't want it like dictated for them where they have to like get to a certain spot or else you can't progress or you have to start all over or whatever. And unfortunately, in the case of Unbeatable, it is kind of that way as well. Like there is a lot of talking, like I said, and a lot of like exploring around. And you don't really get like if there is one, I haven't seen it. Like the notification that if it's auto saving. So I really have like I had to stop in the middle of like the last part of chapter 2 that I was in to start like that next part where I'm moving the character around again, and I have no idea if it's saved or not and how far I'm gonna have to go into wherever I was to like get to where I was before I quit out of the game.
That's one thing Yotei does really well, surprisingly, is like if I quit out or start playing a different game or whatever and I go back to Yotei, it just loads me like right back into like my game session. Like no main menu or no title screen or anything. It's just like, and it takes like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I mean, it also has like a bit of slowdown with, and that might be my PC. I'm also playing on an old laptop.
Right.
And so that might be a problem there, but it does kind of like hitch a little bit when it's going to do the cutscene to go to from a big cutscene to like one that's like in engine. But I've had no problems when I actually have to do the gameplay part. Like that's pretty smooth, and the walking around parts pretty well done as well. It's also has an issue, which is my kind of bigger issue with it, is that it's kind of like I guess you could say isometric, or it has like where it changes like different viewpoints depending on where you're going, right? So like I said, there's a lot of you can literally it's side scrolly. So you're going through like it almost feels like it should be like a beat 'em up, but it you're not beating anybody up on the screen until you get to the actual combat of the music combat.
Right.
So it's made that way where you're going past the screen and the screen just kind of keeps zooming out as you go further out. And then when you get to like if you can go to the next screen, it'll tell you, okay, here's you go to the next screen or whatever. There's times where you get to an angle and you cannot see the character at all. So I'm just kind of like, well, now I got to move around and see if I can finally get them I can see them. And then, okay, now I have to go backwards or whatever. And it does have a limitation where you can go all the way to the right if you want to and kind of explore and look at stuff or whatever. But then if you're not going the right way, it would just stop you and you have to like turn all the way around and go back the other way. And then my that was kind of like my main, and I did have a moment in the first chapter where like you're trying to find this entry door. And I would have never, if I didn't happen to fall off a certain way, figure out that that's a door over here. Like that's just kind of like on the side. Because it doesn't look like a door at all. it's supposed to be. It's I guess it was an entry point, and then it's like, oh, open door. It has like almost like a point and click style like nameplate of like, oh, door, and then you press the button and it opens, and it's like, really, that was the door? I spent like 30 minutes going around and around this whole stadium looking thing, and like, it's whatever.
There was a problem with that in Suikoden 5 where like it's like I had to go through this one door, but like I didn't realize I had to go through like because it was like where the camera was. So I was like, there's a door here, like, and after like an hour of searching, I finally stumbled on it, and I'm like, what? Like, you could have told me, like, this would have been helpful.
Yeah, exactly, right. No, but I do appreciate that. Like, again, like I said, not the kind of game I thought it was going to be. It is definitely has a lot more packed in it than I thought it would for being an indie title. So hats off to D-Cell Games and those guys for getting to get that all in the game. I think it works overall well, but I don't feel like I can give like a I'm gonna review it at some point this week. I thought I was gonna have it more done by today, but work was horrible. So I might have to take some more time with it, but and see how much further I get. But I've been enjoying it so far. Maybe the later I get, the more I'll definitely be appreciating it. But so far, it's a good game, and hopefully some people get to check it out. But it is like on the Steam, it is on that like $30 side, so be aware of that there. But all right, that's like the only game I've really been playing. So I guess we will get into the news here, and I'll try to. I'm gonna keep most of the like if it's Xbox sort of related in with the Xbox like report card thing. Also to mention, it's interesting because again, it sucks. We talked about at the beginning of the show with Vincke Zampella. EA did approve the PIF sale, the shareholders, for the 55 billion, where we know that the public investment or the private investment fund of Saudi Arabia will own around almost 94% of the company. If this does go through, now it is officially out, available for the regulatory bodies to start doing whatever they're going to do. I'm sure at the beginning of next year, make the decisions they're going to make on if they're going to side with it or not. Going to be interesting to see if this faces any kind of backlash at all. I know the Democrats were trying to start stuff, considering obviously again it's foreign investment, whatever. But we'll see. We'll see what ends up happening if it gets any kind of pushback at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, in another kind of like bigger story that was this week. Larian got into a bit of trouble with Sven Vincke talking about how he started talking about they're working on the next project. We know it's Divinity now after the Game Awards, and he started he had an interview with Drayson Schreier of Bloomberg, and in it he talked about use of generative AI and how they are using it. He talked about white boxing early stuff with the game, and he also talked about they were using it for concept art. And then they have like a big team of artists, and some of them are doing the concept art, and then the other ones are kind of taking that and deciding if that's going to be art or not. And then, of course, this led to a huge backlash against Sven and Larian, because obviously he has come out and kind of he's been one that's talked about the industry. He had that big speech when Larian won Game of the Year for Baldur's Gate 3, and we need to be championing this kind of game. And then you're kind of like leading into the whole like bad side of what people. I mean, we're kind of benign in the great side of things, where it's like any type of mention of AI is just going to get the everybody on social media to get upset, the hardcore folks to get upset about it. It did kind of turn nasty at some points of people attacking him because he's trying to defend what they're doing, obviously. I don't know, what is your take on this? Because I can see some sides of it. I do think it's people are still doing the whole all of AI is bad. He's trying to, do the whole thing of, look, this is also a tool. But there's also parts of it where I kind of feel like, do you have to do that though?
It can be a partial tool, maybe, but for like, to me, it just reinforced like how someone can trash their reputation like within like a matter of like a week. Last month we were just talking about the game awards, like them throwing off Divinity, and then all this stuff happened. It's like, yeesh.
Yeah, it's like you had all this great momentum for the game, and then now you've got, and it does kind of, bring up that whole thing of like, because we saw the same thing that happened with Claire Obscura Mission 33, where even though they had admitted early on that this was a mistake because people found, AI in the game, and they said that they had left it in there by mistake and they patched it out. It wasn't intended to be in the final product. That's not what they used. But it was used against them for the Indie Game Awards, where they won Best Debut Indie, right, and also the Game of the Year. And
I would say, yeah, like, I guess for me, like the line would be like, it might be okay. AI might be okay in like the planning stages or like the very temporary stages, but when you're putting out like an actual game or like releasing like a product, time to get real, or time to get that shit out of there. Like, right, the fact that like Arc Raiders still has like AI voices in it, and it's like, that's a successful game now. Hire some voice actors.
Well, the finals also had the AI voice,
yeah,
thing too. So yeah,
it's like, I mean, even if you don't want to get like the top tier talent like Nolan North or Troy Baker or whoever, like, there are plenty of hungry voice actors out there who would work, if not for scale, probably like not much up higher above it. But come on. Or
no, yeah, and I mean that thing is kind of weird in a way, because it's like, it's understandable at the beginning if you wanted to do it, but I mean that doesn't excuse that either, right? That's just kind of their way of.
Well, another good example would be like the GTA Definitive Edition, like that collection.
Yeah,
like they used AI to do like a quick pass through for like updating resolution and stuff like that, but it destroyed all the text. And someone should have stepped in at that point and said, "Hey, we got to fix this," not release the game, have it get shit on by everyone because there's bad AI in it, and then like fix it later. It's like, no, you fix it before it comes out.
yeah, and I mean that's the thing too, is like, they also, it wound up being so bad that the Netflix version wound up being the best version of those games, which is not great.
Right.
Most people don't envision playing those on. I mean, yes, you could obviously play them on mobile, but that it's. I understand Netflix paid some money for that, but it's like, it also just kind of shows of like there should have been somebody watching that, and there kind of just wasn't. And yeah,
right. So
yeah, I mean, and this also, it kind of, I mean, it led to Blueprints taking both of those awards for one. So technically, they're the Indie Game Awards, Game of the Year award winner. But also that kind of led to people starting to go after Blueprints for, did they use AI? And of course, they came out and said no. But and it led to the creator and Raw Fury having to come out and say, look, there's no AI. in the game. It's built and crafted with full human instinct. Then you had to start seeing indie game devs come out and have to all say that they're not building the game with AI.
Well,
Yeah.
it brings further Tim Sweeney's comments a week or two ago or whatever, saying like, why should we like Steam lists AI usage on their store pages? Like that's a bad thing. It's like, no, you idiot. People don't like AI at all, or have a very guarded stance against it. But he's such an idiot.
Yeah, I think it's one of those where it's like, I understand everybody's kind of push of, we don't want this at all. Anaya, who is also she does her own art. My daughter does the art, she draws and stuff, and she's always constantly telling me, I kind of tell her like, it may not be a bad idea for you to learn how to use some of those AI tools, because it will kind of be important maybe later on as that becomes more. And she says, I don't want to use AI, I can't stand AI. And I was like, well, okay, I'm down with that idea of it. Like, I try not to use it either when I'm making the thumbnails or whatever, but sometimes it's like, I need to take this background out, and I don't have 30 minutes to go painstakingly through and try to take it out. And I do sometimes use that AI auto mask thing to take it out. And when it's like something that's actually productive, right? I think he talked about, when you're having to do jobs that people don't want to do, I think that is advantageous, right? If that saves you time, if that saves you money, spending that you're not doing, and it's not costing somebody a job, then, I'm kind of okay with it. But I kind of get the idea that people are just like, look, once you kind of, and unfortunately, look, it doesn't matter how much we yell and scream about it. Almost all the AAA devs are using it in some way or some form.
Yeah.
And it will become to the point. I'm not saying you shouldn't keep fighting for all you want. Those of you who are against it. Unfortunately, the fact is, most of the people that don't sit there and pay attention to gaming news every day don't know about it and don't care. And they will keep buying these games, and unfortunately, it will push these devs to do that. Unfortunately, also, it's like that double-edged sword of, look, we complain all the time about how it takes so long to make games now. Right?
Yeah.
It takes too long. Like, look how long we've had to wait for some of our favorite series to have games.
Yep.
Like, if that does help them make games faster, sure. I don't like the idea. I see that as, my problem is, I think that what's going to end up happening is people are like, oh, we can make more games faster. It's like, no, we don't need to make more games. We already have enough games. We just need those games to like come out in a decent time frame, so you're not sitting there waiting 5 years every time, 6 years every time for a game to come out. Like, let's say that part 3 of 7 Remake does come out winter 2027. That's still incredible, considering the way that game making has been going lately, where it's like, look at the time between Ghost of Tsushima, and now obviously there's COVID involved in there too, but the time between Ghost of Tsushima and Ghost of Yotei, 5 years, right? Look at Last of Us Part 2 to whenever if we ever get a Last of Us Part 3, or Intergalactic for that matter, right? They just did we talk about it, about the whole, I think that's for this week. Yeah.
That was the overtime.
The mandatory overtime that Neil Druckmann and co enforced in order for Sony for them to make a demo for Sony, so that they could get the game back on track to hopefully release in the middle of 2027. Big hoopla about that as well, right? It's like, Well, do you want the game? I mean, understandably, right? These long dev cycles were made because of that. Also, is to avoid crunch. But this, to me, I feel like is mandatory overtime the same as crunch? When you know it's being done, you're getting paid the overtime, and are you working like super extra hours, like where everybody's sleeping at the office and all that? I don't know that it's that extreme, also, right?
Like not yet.
I mean, yeah, we don't know, but obviously they're kind of farther away. But you also kind of have to understand Sony in a bit as well. It's like we don't really know if this stuff that's going on with RAM is gonna make Sony think twice and Microsoft think twice about, do we release these consoles in 2027 as planned, or do we push them back? That's going to be an interesting thought process of, does that make them push it back, right? Or I saw some discussion today. I think Last Stand was talking about it with Colin Moriarty over on his podcast. Of, could PC prices increase so much that actually, if let's say PlayStation majorly and Xbox as well come out in 2027, right? During this crisis that we have of, let's say this keeps going with the AI stuff, right? Could it make people actually go back to console gaming because PC gaming prices are too high?
Right.
Yeah.
That'd be funny because, like, I don't know if you listen to Jeff Grossman's podcast much, but he's become like a big PC gamer over the past 2 or 3 years, or maybe even like 5. And to have him going back to like the PS5, the garbage PS5 that he would probably now say would be hilarious.
Yeah.
Like he treats like the PS5 as like a leper console, basically. It's like, not everyone cares about frame rate or a lot of other like high-end bullshit. Like, I mean, we were just talking earlier. You gotta reinstall your sound driver because your mic got messed up, and it's like, yeah, you know where that doesn't happen? Consoles. I plug in the
Right,
dongle and it
exactly.
works fine. Or I put in the game and I might have to patch the game, but that's an automatic process. Like I don't have to like reinstall the video driver to my PS5 or any nonsense like that for a game to work.
Yeah, I don't have to do anything special because my PC is doing something weird or whatever,
Yeah.
or the game, I didn't install this thing that now the game needs or whatever, which Steam does a great job of doing that. When like you're missing one of those distributable files or whatever, it will
Right.
install it for you so you can play the game. But then it's like, still, if it doesn't work with your, like with Unbeatable as an example, I talked about how sometimes it would chug when I'm having to walk through that, and it's in sort of like the 2D 5-ish environment. That's when I realized, oh, I'm not using the NVIDIA
Right, the NVIDIA video card,
chip.
because you're
I'm
using
using the integrated one. So let me go make sure it starts up using the NVIDIA one. And it's like, yeah, that's the kind of thing you got to figure out with PC that you don't have to do with, because it'll start up just
right.
whatever on your console, right?
Give it time, like whatever harebrained Xbox thing comes out in a few years, it'll probably be like, oh, here's the base model, and then here's like the turbo model, or like this has more RAM, or this has a better video card in, or some nonsense like that, and it'll be terrible.
Yeah, I wonder how deep they're gonna go into that. Like, do they start with one SKU and then they start incrementally
Right.
introducing other SKUs and be like, well, if you want to upgrade, you can. You can figure out how to install this into the current one you have, or you can just buy it.
I actually think I was never a fan of that to begin with, but I think like the PS4 to PS4 Pro, that kind of worked, but the PS5 to PS5 Pro, that didn't work because no one seemed to care about the Pro except for Jens.
It's just, it feels like it's not outside of like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth,
Right.
that really had a problem.
there are
right?
like a handful of games that like it did kind of fix some problems, but there are other games where it actually increased problems or made problems. And
Yeah, like Silent Hill Up, they were saying it
and
caused some problems.
Metal Gear Solid Delta, that had a problem with that.
Yeah,
So yeah,
yeah.
it's a boondoggle.
It is kind of one of those things. Like the more you go into that realm, the more issues they have. I mean, it's the same thing with like the Xbox ROG Ally thing of when it launched, and I saw these people be like, "Man, I've got to do all this. I've got to mess with this," and like that's just to play one game, and I'm just like, it makes me really appreciate consoles, you know. But yeah,
I mean, console games may have an option for like performance or quality.
right.
Like Ghost of Yotei has that actually, or it's just like I don't care. I wish that was an option. Just like leave me alone.
Well,
Like
I
it
mean,
looks
that
good,
was something that the Pro was supposed to resolve, but apparently it still didn't do that.
right?
Right. So, um, it's one of those interesting things where it's like, okay, we'll see if that winds up being anything or whatnot. Yeah, interesting things also from that front of companies cutting some hardware. NVIDIA is reportedly cutting RTX 50 series production next year because they're not as popular as they thought they were going to be. Also because they make the laptops and PCs more expensive, right? People don't want that right now when they can barely afford normal things. I'm sitting there thinking about because of all this stuff with the RAM and the memory shortage and all that. I'm it's the holidays and I'm sitting there thinking about. I talked to some of my friends at the Outer Haven and you as well, and I was like, okay, try to find me a laptop that's within a certain range where I can kind of make it affordable, with the buy now, pay later. And we're still looking at it something for like $2,000, and I'm just like, God, I remember buying this PC for or this laptop, 8 years ago for 1,000, and that was a lot for me back then, right? And
I mean,
yeah.
The two things I would say is like they're not stopping GTX production completely. Just like
Right, they're
cutting
just
it by like
lowering
30
it.
or 40%. And that's
It's because they want to focus more on the AI.
Yeah, and also do the RAM shortages as well. Like, but also like laptop, like gaming laptops have kind of been the same price. Like mine was like $800 like 2 years ago, and
yeah,
it's pretty comparable now. And like even the ones I got like 10 years ago, I think it was like 1,400. So it's gone up, but it's not like the laptop I would have bought 2 years ago would now be like $4,000. If it's depreciated because of it only has a 40 series graphics card in it, not a 50 or whatever else. So
yeah, but it feels like anything. I mean, I was surprised that they were able to throw like some of the 50 series ones at me for like 1,600 or something like that. But then it's like, again, once you start putting in the RAM and you start putting in the adding memory to it and stuff like that, it starts going up. And it's
again,
just like,
I mean,
yeah,
you don't have to get a 50 series though. You could always get a 40 series and be a lot cheaper.
Yeah,
but just
I agree with you. I'm just kind of seeing what that market is. Speaking of that, also the Steam Deck, the original, I guess the
garbage,
the
tier,
original
the
version of this. Yeah, the cheapest version of the Steam Deck has been essentially discontinued.
Yeah.
The LCD one. So I guess if there are any still available or you want to get it, secondhand, even though it's getting to the point really where like the Steam Deck is very long in the tooth.
All right.
At this point, so it's like I mean, Valve is smart. Like they know that, especially with the, this is also affecting the Steam machine as well, right? But they have to they're trying to wait it out and see if anything happens here where prices go down, stuff like that, so they don't have to release the Steam machine at a crazy price. And then also, what does that mean for the Steam Deck too?
Right.
And do they start out at the same way? Do they find a screen that's cheaper to kind of try to make it cheaper at first, or do they just go all out with the OLED? And just be like, okay, we're gonna give you the best one. It might be a little bit more expensive, but you don't have to sit there and go, oh man, I'm gonna go and buy the OLED one later. Right? What do you think? Do you think they're gonna do the Nintendo route of coming up with a cheaper screen first, or do you think they just go out and be like, oh, here's the OLED, that's it?
No, I think they'll do a cheaper one first. It won't be as cheap as it was initially, like the first model, but it'll still be, like a little more consumer focused or consumer, price focused. And then they're like, oh, if you want the higher one, here you go. But who knows?
Yeah, I'm not holding that breath. I mean, I hope that. Yeah.
The difference is like the Steam One, or not Steam One, sorry, the Switch One. Like they put out new models, but it was very tiny upgrades. Like, oh, it's a better screen, or like the CPU is like 10% faster or whatever. But like you don't really see that in most games. But like when this Steam, when they put out the Steam Deck, like that, the LCD one, it had like a bigger hard drive. Like that's a major upgrade. Or I think it had faster RAM, or it had like some other like actual like upgrade as well. So it's like, yeah, this is a lot more tangible than, it's a bit better screen, but if I don't really use it that much, go out with it or anything, like who cares?
Yeah, exactly. That's true.
Yeah.
One final thing here, unless you have something else to talk about before we get to the Xbox report card deal. We did have some. Go ahead. Sorry.
You can bring up your topic, and then I'll mention the other thing.
Yeah, we did have some news on the November hardware sales and software sales. Considering that November is Black Friday, it's usually supposed to be a huge month for gaming as a whole. It's supposed to be like November and December are the ones that are supposed to take everything over the top, right? Historically. But not this year, because the biggest sale that there was the PlayStation 5 going back to its original sale price for the holiday season. Which is crazy to think about that. Like, still, the PlayStation 5 digital is back at $400, and the PlayStation 5 disc version is at $550, and it's like, wow, I that's incredible. I'd still save money buying it at launch, right? But that's what the sad thing is that they were the only ones that did a sale, because Switch 2 just came out, so they can't really do a sale.
No, they did it. Switch 2 did a sale, or like Nintendo. I don't know if it was Nintendo itself, but like Best Buy and Amazon did a sale.
Okay, they did, but like Nintendo wasn't going around going, "Oh yeah, here you can get the Switch 2 for $350 or even $400," right? They were just, okay, go out and buy Donkey Kong and Mario Kart, whatever. They did announce that apparently after this period, I guess sometime in January, they're gonna stop making the Mario Kart bundle Switch 2. So you will have to buy Mario Kart World separately outside of the bundle. I wonder if they're gonna bundle another game with it, or they're just gonna, okay, you just buy the Switch 2.
Well, I mean, they already did that GA Pokemon one. I imagine Donkey Kong.
Yeah, maybe. But according to Circana, this is just the United States, obviously, but hardware spending has fallen 27% year over year, with only $695 million This makes November 2025 the worst month for hardware since November 2005, which is crazy. 20 years ago.
Right.
Look, the PlayStation was number one because, again, they were the only one that had a sale. Switch 2 was still number 2, but that's also kind of surprising as well because the Switch 2 is the newer console, right? But I do wonder if that has something to do with the fact of like 2 of the biggest games are available for Pokemon is available for Switch 1, so there's no need to push you into buying a Switch 2 quite yet, right? The only reason you really need to buy a Switch 2 is if you really want Mario Kart World, which technically you could just play Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Donkey Kong Bonanza is a great game, but I don't know if that is a system seller by itself.
Right.
And even then, it's still the fastest selling console ever or whatever. It's just, I think a lot of people that bought one had already bought one during the initial period, and they weren't just scrambling to try to get one for the Black Friday holiday period, like maybe you would have with the Wii or something like that, or even PS5 and Xbox when those came out. So that's also interesting, and then also the actual amount of unit sales is the worst since 1995.
Right.
So we're talking about 1.6 million video game hardware units were sold, and that was only 1.4 at that time. The Next Playground outsold the Xbox, but again, Microsoft doesn't care if you buy the Xbox Series at this point. They did not do any kind of sale for that. And that tells you everything you need to know right there. Like, Nintendo has an excuse. They just came out with that console. Microsoft, the Xbox consoles are just as old as the PlayStation 5s, and Microsoft made no intention to try to get any kind of juice doing, like, even if it's the last one ever, doing a for them. They just said, screw it. Whoever feels like paying whatever they're going to pay for this, have at it. We're not going to acquiesce to this at all. So,
good plan.
looking at the year to date, we still have 1 month left, but so far, Battlefield 6 is your number one game of the year as far as sales go in the United States. Then NBA 2K26, Monster Hunter Wild still holding steady up there at 3, and Borderlands 4 is number 4, even though Strauss Zelnick says it's a disappointment for them.
Right.
That's interesting. Call of Duty Black Ops 7 debuted at number 7, just ahead of Black Ops 6. I think that kind of tells you everything you need to know. We'll talk more about that in a little bit here with the Xbox.
Black Ops 7 has been 35, like it's been on sale for $35. So
yeah, no, but this is before that.
Yeah,
right.
But I'm saying like that's another good indicator. Like, hey, this one didn't do too well.
Yeah, exactly. Also of note in there, Kingdom Come Deliverance still in there. Forza Horizon 5 still holding strong in the top 20. Helldivers 2 also, Split Fiction, WWE 2K25. So, hey, all those are still on there. Oblivion Remaster is also there at 9 still. So that's in the overall of the year. Call of Duty Black Ops 7 was still the number one best-selling game of November, which you have to imagine by how much. It's probably definitely not the length or the gulf in sales that it probably has had in the past. Battlefield 6 is still there, number 2 for the year. Then you got a bunch of the sports games. Pokemon Legends CA there at number 6, and that's without the digital sales. So who knows how much that is not taken into account, along with Kirby Air Riders and Hyrule Warriors at 10 and 11. Outer Worlds 2 there at 12, which that's a good sign. Donkey Kong Bonanza still holding in there. And Digimon Story Time Stranger, one of my favorite games of the year, still there at number 20. That's cool. And that's just for the month of November. So that kind of paints the picture of like the up and down and mostly down year that Xbox has had. It's a weird year because they had perhaps their like strongest year of releases that they've had in a long time, of consistent releases. Like just being able to put out games at a trot that they've perhaps never been able to do.
Yeah.
Or that they always promised they would, and then they just never could for one reason or another, right? And then this year it's like, bam, here we go. You got Avowed, you got South of Midnight, you got Outer Worlds 2 later, Ninja Gaiden 4. South of Midnight, won the awards that it won. We had Call of Duty Black Ops 7, even though that was a disappointment by all accounts, really. And you got Doom the Dark Ages as well. They released Forza Horizon 5 on PS5. They released Indiana Jones and the Great Circle on PS5. Gears of War Reloaded wasn't a huge hit for them, but that's still a release from this year for the company. You got Oblivion Remaster that sold ridiculous numbers. Like as far as like a games perspective, this has to be a fantastic year for them for the most part, right?
Not to me, but to you maybe. Like, because you always bring up, Avowed and South of Midnight, but it's like that was they came out
Keeper as well.
Sure.
Sorry for that. Keeper
What?
as well.
Yeah,
that counts. Yeah,
it's like these games came out, but like the problem is Microsoft has made games so disposable that within a week people can forget about them. So it's like, okay, Avowed came out, and it came out like March, I think, or earlier in the year. Let's just say
Avowed came out in February.
Okay, I was close. But it's like no one's talking about it, or people barely in April were talking about it.
To be fair, once Expedition 33 came out, nobody was talking about anything. So but yeah, no, Avowed came. It was there for a little bit, and then it went away as you had other games come out that people.
I had to like. Yeah. I know this was a topic of the episode, so I had to like Google like what Microsoft games came out, and the only page I could find is an Xbox page, like kind of like listing all the games, because like no other site had it, or had like stuff, and they didn't even they don't even have like Forza 5 or Horizon 5 on PS5 or Flight Simulator 5 on PS5. Like it's just like all of their like specific games, like Heretic and Hexen. That's like great.
Yeah,
but like a good example is like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4. Like
I forgot about
yeah, exactly. Like it's a game that came out, is pretty widely positively received. Like it wasn't a game of the year or anything, but people seem to like it, and within a week, everyone forgot about it. Like the only two games that I can think of that people are still talking about, kind of, are like Outer Worlds 2 and Black Ops 7, but not for the right reason, and maybe like Ninja Gaiden 4.
Yeah, I think, look, to me, I think what it shows is you finally deliver on the promise that you told everybody, that this is what Game Pass is going to be. What's going to be great about Game Pass is that you're going to deliver a game a quarter, or a game every 2 months or whatever, that is first party.
Right.
And they did that this year. And for the most part, most of the games were good. There are some that are great, like Doom the Dark Ages. And some that are just fine, like South of Midnight, Avowed. Outer Worlds 2 seems to be like one of the more well-received ones. People really loved Elder Scrolls Oblivion remaster.
People did not like that Fallout 4 thing, though.
Yeah, Fallout 4 no. But when you're talking about like you released 15 games this year, and like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4, you said, yeah, it feels like okay, they released it, but it wasn't talked about for too long.
Right.
But still, it came out. It's part of the portfolio. If you're going to grade them on the games they released, most of them were in the positive realm. And then you also got the double bite of the apple, releasing many of them on PlayStation 5 that weren't on there before, like Hellblade 2 and Forza Horizon 5 and all that. So
right. I still think, I mean, Sony has this problem also, kind of, but not as bad. But like, okay, Xbox released 15 like games this year,
right?
Like none of them were from their. I mean, aside from Call of Duty, which is debatable, let's say, none of them were like from their like AAA franchises. I mean, I guess you could say Gears, kind of.
I would say Doom is a AAA franchise. I would say Elder Scrolls is a AAA franchise.
Well, that's not a new game. I mean,
I know, but it was remastered, and I mean, it counts. It's a game, right? Gears of War wasn't great, but yeah,
I'm talking like Halo, new Forza game, period. Not Horizon 5 on PS5, just new Forza, new Gears,
Fable.
Fable.
Right.
I like arguing about Fable, like, oh, it's gonna come out next year. I'm like, yeah, I keep hoping that. Like, so to me, like, a lot of these games, I mean, I don't give a toss about Avowed or South of Midnight, but a lot of these games are like of the more B tier variety, striving for A, but not quite hitting that mark necessarily.
Right, but I mean, but they also count. Like, you can't always release,
I
5 Ghost of Yoteis in the year. Like
they should take over the Days Gone biker franchise from Sony.
Yeah. But outside of them, seemingly, I don't know what they had with why they had to release certain games. Like, they had to have months packed together for some reason. They couldn't like spread it out. But outside of missing some months there because they either had to push the game to April or they pushed the game, had 3 games come out in October or something like that. Like, they did kind of meet that quota of having a game from one of their studios come out, and then Ninja Gaiden 4 is published. It's not theirs, but yeah, it like still. I mean, and yeah, they're all over the place. It's all a mixed bag. It's not all like A-tier games, right? We're talking about like 80s and some higher 80s, but most of them we're talking about like, okay, yeah, like you said, you can give them a B, right? The problem is that unfortunately for Microsoft, most of the conversation wasn't about their games this year. It was about all the other stuff that isn't great about them, laying off 1,500 people, and even more, closing studios, closing the initiative, canceling Perfect Dark, canceling Everwild, canceling Contraband. They had to basically they didn't shutter the studio, but they killed the funding on the John Romero game that Insider Gaming, I think, had an exclusive about what the game is about, which is sort of like inspired by Hotline Miami, apparently.
Or like basically killing not Forza like explicitly, but Forza Motorsport.
Well, yeah, Forza Motorsport studio was basically halved, and they just announced. I did the story for it. That they are not doing any more new content for Forza Motorsport after what comes out in January, February, March, and they are moving into the direction of they are fully a support studio for Forza Horizon 6, which they need to come out next year. So that is what that is. But like you're talking about, a Satya Nadella and Amy Hood that are all about AI, and they want to be the top company for AI, and then every time you turn around, all anybody wants to do is figure out how to uninstall Microsoft Copilot from something.
Right,
nobody wants that thing. I'm sorry to tell you, but nobody wants that. Whenever it is that I get a laptop that has Windows 11, I'm never touching it. So it's like,
if your laptop has like the Copilot button, just like pop it off.
yeah, like it's like, look, and I'm it's not just me talking crap. That's just a lot of, nobody wants to have anything to do with it. Whether it's because they use Chat GPT already, or they use some other program, or it's because just like it's not something that anybody ever asked for. And it's understandable, again, that Microsoft wants to be number one in something that is obviously a huge deal right now. There's a huge bubble around it. It's only going to continue to grow right now. They're building all these data centers that who knows how long those things are going to last.
Right.
That's going to eventually be like landfill, I'm sure. Like that's the issue, is a lot of negativity. The price increases for your consoles, right? You didn't just increase the price one time, you increased the price 2 times, to the point where who the hell wants to go out and buy a Series X? Like, you're insane if you're buying a Series X at that price. You're almost insane buying a Series S at the price that it is, because it's essentially like, might as well just go buy a Switch 2 and play third party games there. It's no longer the affordable entry into the ecosystem that it was.
Right.
You might as well spend some more money and get the Xbox ROG Ally or the Xbox ROG Ally X, honestly. If you're going to go that route.
Spend the extra money, just get a PS4 or PS5 digital.
Well, that too, but I'm just saying, you're right about that, right? Because almost all the game, pretty much all the games go to. There's some that are missing. Who knows that we already know South of Midnight's going to go over there. Don't know if Avowed or whenever Avowed, Starfield, and all that are going to go, but they probably will eventually.
I don't know about Starfield. Yeah. Like I saw the funny thing that like this was supposed to be the year.
This has been the entire year, and now they're saying it's next year because now they have this huge update that they're going to do for it. And
yeah, I think that thing's just done, and it's like why throw away good money after bad at this point? Like, even if it comes out on PS5, I don't think people are like that going to be into it.
Right. And then like,
or
right.
They should do is they just release it in a double pack with Redfall.
Let's not talk about that game. Another thing that was important was, Game Pass, best deal in gaming, right?
Not anymore.
I think it's still technically the best deal in gaming because, you're still getting some. I mean, look, you got Marvel Cosmic Invasion this month. I mean, that's already what, $25 there. If you played that game, you almost paid for your subscription to Game Pass, and then can't really think. I mean, you did still get, regardless of whether you liked Call of Duty or not, it came in the freaking year, right? It came in the window. So listen, they did add more games, but obviously because they added the Ubisoft Plus and all that stuff, and they still had a lot of high quality games this year. I mean, like, look, Clair Obscura Expedition 33 was a Game Pass game, right? Blueprints was a Game Pass game. Yes, that was also on PS Plus, but it was on Game Pass as well, right? We're talking about 2 Game of the Year quality games on Game Pass, right? And I don't have the list in front of me right now. But I mean, if you look at the totality of it, some people are putting, Doom the Dark Ages in their top 10s. There's people putting, there's a lot of the other games are not in there, right? But I still think, Ball X Pit is a Game Pass game, so, and that was sort of like your Vampire Survivors esque
right.
quality of game in there. It's the Xbox Game Pass as a whole, I feel like, had a tremendous year, I think, if you look at the totality of it. But then when you raise it up to $30, that's what makes it very difficult for people. And it's just kind of like, all right, and you still had, again, like I said, quality stuff almost every month in there. They did, Shadow Drop Ninja Gaiden 2 Black in there. Sniper Elite Resistance was a Game Pass game as well. Atomfall was a Game Pass game. So again, positive stuff for that. But then again, you get it's the same thing we've always talked about with Xbox, of like, they are consistently inconsistent.
Yep.
They have great news, and then they have to follow it up with terrible news right after it, because it's like they can't help themselves, So, will that trend continue in 2026? Probably so. The thing that helps them I guess, what would you say overall would you give them, as far as like, when you look at it in the totality, the grade for Microsoft this year, or Xbox? Sorry.
Yeah, maybe C-.
I forgot what I gave. I think I said what, B- or place. I think for Nintendo I said
probably
B-, and then PlayStation got like a C.
Sure.
It's hard, man, because the negative like outweighs the positive. It's like very hard to.
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably closer to say like a D+, but I know you.
I'm gonna give it like a C. Like I know D is passing technically. I'm gonna give it like a look. You nailed it on the games this year, and that is what, as a gamer, I care about, right? As the John Q gamer that doesn't care about this podcast or any other gaming podcast that talks about this stuff. If they subscribe to Game Pass the entire year, or they played a lot of the Xbox, first party stuff that came out this year, I think most of the time, most of that you're satisfied. When you put in all the other new, and this is why I can't. They really should be getting a B, or they should be getting an A, but because they can't help themselves, they're gonna land right here around the C, or probably D for a lot of people, because you had so much negative news around this company this year. And it's unfortunate, because when you look at the company next year, even though, again, the consoles are in the toilet, people are not buying your consoles. You're pushing cloud, even though, again, you did a good positive thing with the cloud. You upped the streaming capacity, the streaming quality. You added the stream your own games thing, even though PlayStation just blew you out of the water with the thing that they added to the portable. You introduced the ROG Ally X and the ROG Ally, even though they were kind of not that great at launch. They're going to have to keep updating that full screen experience. You added the full screen experience to Windows 11 devices. And you added a store. Finally, it took you how long? Like 6 years to add a store to mobile, for God's sakes. This is the PlayStation app has had since day one. Because y'all were trying to figure out how you could skirt the Google and Apple. Look, I get it. Okay, you want to make the most money possible, whatever. Still don't know I don't know if they ended up winning that appeal or not, or what had happened with that. But either way, it's there. You can buy games on the Xbox app now. Finally, it's almost 6 years later. But it's like, it's taken them this long, right? And so again, it's like, for every positive you can say about this company this year, it's negative. And then it's what sucks is, again, like, you're going into next year where they have already said this is going to be the biggest developer direct ever, because they're most likely promising that we're going to see. They've already said Playground Games is there, right? So that means Forza Motorsports, or Forza Horizon 6 and Fable are going to be at that thing.
Here's another CGI trailer of Fable.
They better not just have CGI, or that's really bad. they're gonna have some kind of mystery surprise game. They always do. Some kind of shadow drop.
Here's Banjo
Yeah.
Kazooie nuts and bolts too.
That'd be amazing if they did anything with Banjo Kazooie. That'd be cool. Gears E-Day will probably be there. Will Halo remaster, and then Halo remaster, because it's a remake of Halo 1. So why wouldn't it be able to be there? So you got your 4 core franchises in one developer direct. I mean, the amount of delivering that thing could possibly do,
right?
Would be a incredible way to kick off January 2026 for you.
It'll be funny when they announce like 15 new games for the direct and only like 4 actually come out.
Right? Yeah, like that's the thing, is like, will these games come out next year? Because like I feel like we can kind of count on Gears E-Day.
Right.
The one that I feel like Halo remake or whatever, I think that one's the campaign evolved because it's not including the multiplayer, so it's less for them to work on.
Right.
I think we can kind of count on that. Yeah.
Infinite's supposed to last infinitely.
Right. I wouldn't be surprised if Replaced is the other game. Because that has been a game that has been shown at these Xbox showcases for a long time. It's a highly anticipated indie. I wouldn't say we're gonna get that'll be the shadow drop or whatever, but that would be interesting if they had more to show for that game. But like, we know Clockwork Revolution is supposed to come out. That's another highly anticipated game,
right,
for 2026. But after that, it's kind of like, okay, where's State of Decay 3? We haven't seen that. Right? Where's all these other games that, you guys are supposedly working on? Let's see what happens. So yeah, we'll see, but it looks like 2026 is supposed to be promising for the first party Xbox again. But now that a lot of these studios have already released games, we'll see what happens as they kind of get going on the next one or whatnot.
Yeah. The one thing I was going to mention earlier that arcade went up is basically going under.
Oh, I did not know that. Oh wow.
It was like a week and a half ago. They sent a letter out to like staff going like, "Hey, we're in trouble." And then I think like a week ago, Basic Fun, like another company, is like assuming control of the brand and all the assets and crap. And to me, it just reminded me of Funko, like less of a problem, but arcade went up, like flooded the markets and made increasingly bad products and destroyed the brand.
Yeah, because I mean, they had it for a while where they were like releasing like, oh man, look at all these great arcade games and everything, right. And then it's like, oh well, I don't know what they're doing now,
Yeah, and I mean, I didn't like the size of them, or like I always thought they were too small, like for me at least. But like, yeah, they just kept it was like a nonstop release, and it's like the stuff that people like they were like re-releasing games at a certain point, or they had like at least like 2 or 3 like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle stuff and
yeah,
some other stuff, and it's like, yo, release like 1 or 2 of these a year, not 9 or 10, because they're just like flooding the market. And like I think, like I used to see them in Walmart, and I think they stopped having them in Walmart just because they weren't selling, just taking up too much shelf space.
Right.
Yeah, I don't blame Walmart, so like
yeah,
they said that like the servers are still going to be up and they're going to continue something or other. Who knows if it'll actually go on or not, but
right.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, it definitely is. We'll see if that. Hopefully, it doesn't for the people working there and everything. That's always bad news. Also, with the bad news, I'm sure that Xbox will unfortunately lay off more people, or Microsoft
Yep.
will.
That'll be the January surprise.
That'll be the way that they step on the rake again. Is
Right.
They'll have this incredible developer direct, and then like 2 days after that, go, oh yeah, we laid off like another 2,000 people or whatever, and it's like ridiculous. It's just
right.
This is what they do. Yeah. I hope everybody. I mean, there's not really any big like I said, the last week of game releases was last week. Like this is we're at the like people we have stopped. There's still I'm sure games coming out, but it's not really anything like already. Look forward to next year when it comes to that. But I mean, not that look, the holiday sales have already started. Go try to find your games you haven't played yet.
How about a few Steam games?
Yeah, the Steam Winter Sale is on. The PlayStation Holiday Sale is on as well. I'm thinking about if I'm going to get that Shadows in the Sky remaster or remake, or not.
Of course you are.
I've been waiting for it to go. They finally announced the sale for it, so
right.
Next week we won't have a regular episode. We're gonna have our top 10 games of 2025, and then also our we will combine our lists and do our top 25 games, the video games to the max top 25 games. So Randy will be on for that, and then the week after that, first week in January of 2026, we'll do our most anticipated top 10 most anticipated games of next year. We'll talk about some games that we're excited to be releasing, maybe some that we hope release, and some that maybe they don't end up releasing. Could GTA 6 get delayed again? Who knows? What
probably
what we end up thinking with that. But yeah, so make sure it'll still be on a Monday that we do it. So we'll still do it live and stuff. So if you watch us live on Mondays, we'll be doing the episodes live. If you want to listen to our thoughts on the games of 2085, if not, you can always listen later on demand on podcasts or on YouTube. And well, until next week, everybody, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, all that, and we'll see you next week.
Later.
Bye.